In this video tutorial, we'll be talking not only about how to solve equations, but actually how to read a word problem and pull important information out from that word problem and use it to create the equation that needs to be solved. So let's get started. Okay, so these are real world connections, like when we are going to use equations in real life and how to solve for them. So in this first one, let's discuss the dog kennel owner has 96 feet of fencing to enclose a rectangular dog run. She wants it to be 5 times as long as it is wide. Find the dimensions. Now, there's a couple of things going on. One thing I like to do is go ahead and either highlight or underline anytime I have some number that we're probably going to be using in the equation. Now, next, let's discuss when we are discussing an amount of, in this case, feet, that's going to enclose a rectangular dog run, that automatically helps me to understand that we are dealing with the perimeter. Now, sometimes it's good to go ahead and be visual. And so if I think about the fact that this dog run is going to be rectangular and we have 96 feet of fence that goes around it, we are dealing with the perimeter of the rectangular fence. Regardless if you remember the formula for perimeter or not, you're able to solve this equation. Now, we do know that normally, whatever the width is of a rectangular fence, then the length is going to be on the sides. Now, they give us something else. She says that it's got to be 5 times as long as it is wide. So if this is whatever this width is, we know that the length has to be 5 times that. So if you know the formula for perimeter, we know that it is 2W plus 2L equals the perimeter. Now, we know that the perimeter is 96 feet. We know that W is the variable for the width, but the length actually is 5 times W. So we can actually substitute 5W in for the length. We can then solve this problem knowing that 2W plus 10W equals 96. 2 and 10 are on the same side. We can combine length terms to get 12W equals 96. To solve for W, you would divide by 12 because it's multiplication, so the opposite is division, and we would get 8. Now, 8 what? We definitely need to use units here. We're dealing with feet, so the width would be 8 feet. You must put units. Now, we're not done. That's the width. So what is the length? Well, we do know that the length is 5 times the width. So 5 times the width is going to be 40 feet. Now, let's say you do not remember how to find the formula for perimeter. Well, you do know that it is going to equal 96 feet. And the perimeter is basically just adding up all the sides. So I can go ahead and do that. W is one side, 5W is another side, another W is that, and then another 5W. And then in this case, it actually will still give you the exact same answer down here, but without having to know the formula. Okay, next real world connection. 2 buses leave Houston at the same time and travel in opposite directions. So basically, let's say this is Houston. One bus is traveling one direction, one bus is traveling in its opposite direction. One bus averages 55 miles per hour, the other bus averages 45 miles per hour. When will they be 400 miles apart? Now, the great thing here is automatically I can say when they use the word when will they 400 miles apart, that means I'm going to be looking for some type of amount of time. Now, anytime we deal with averages and miles apart in time, we are automatically going to be dealing with the distance formula. Now, if you remember, the distance formula equals the rate, speed, times the time it takes to get there. Now, one bus averages 55 miles per hour. The other bus averages 45 miles per hour. And then we want to know how long does it take for them to get 400 miles apart. So we're actually going to deal with the distance formula. We know that the distance, D for distance, is 400 miles. We have 2 different rates going on. Okay, we have 45 miles per hour and we have 55 miles per hour. And then last is time, which we actually do not know. So therefore, if I'm going to put it into the formula D equals R times T, the distance is 400. The rates we actually will add together because they're going in opposite directions, and we do not know the time. So now we finally have our equation that we can solve. So 400 equals 100, 45 plus 55, times time. So to solve for time, you would divide by 100, and you would get 4. So what does that number 4 actually mean? Well, when you're dealing with time, in this case, you're dealing with hours. So therefore, it will take 4 hours for those two buses to be 400 miles apart. Next, we have two brothers who are saving money to buy tickets to a concert. Their combined savings is $55. I like they say combined, so I know that it has to do with adding. We also know that one brother has saved $15 more than the other. Anytime you see the word more, again, you're going to be adding. How much is each saved? Well, we do know that they have combined their savings, and we know it equals $55. So one brother plus the other brother, let's call him brother 1, and brother 2, we know that those combined savings add up to $55. Now, we do not know what one brother has, but we know that the next brother has $15 more than the first one. So brother 2 has whatever brother 1 has plus $15 more. So brother 2 actually has whatever the first brother has plus $15 more. And now we have an equation that we can solve. Okay, we can combine like terms. There's 2 B's here, so we have 2 of them, plus $15 equals $55. To solve this equation for B, you're going to first subtract $15 from both sides, and you'll get 2B equals $40. So therefore, you're going to divide by 2, and you will get 20. Now, what does this 20 mean? They're dealing with how much each has saved, so we're dealing with money. So we know that one brother has saved $20. The second brother, that would be brother 1, the second brother has saved that much amount plus 15 more. So 20 plus 15 gives us $35. And do they add up to 55? Yes, they do. And so this equation did work. Next connection, 2 trains left a station at the same time. One traveled north at a certain speed and one traveled south. So here we go. We have one train that's going north. We have one train that's going south. We don't know the speed of these trains, but whatever was traveling north, like we just say would be X. The other one was traveling at twice that speed. Twice means you multiply, so you're looking for 2x, which is twice the speed. After 4 hours, in this case, we're dealing with time. The twice the speed is dealing with rate. And they were 600 miles apart, and that would be dealing with distance. So we know that they end up being 600 miles apart. We just don't know how much time it took for that to happen. So again, we're going to use the formula distance equals rate times time. The distance we know is 600. We don't know the rate, but we do know that they're going in opposite directions, so you do add them together. And we do not know, and we do know time. The time is 4 hours. So to solve this equation, I'm going to go ahead and combine these two x's inside the parentheses to get 3x, and now multiply that by 4. We can go ahead and combine again, multiply 3 times 4 to get 12x. And now we can solve by dividing by 12, and we will get the number 50. Now again, in this case, what does 50 mean? We are looking at trying to figure out how fast each train was traveling. So we are looking at speed. If we're dealing with hours and miles, that means one train went 50 miles per hour. And if the other train was twice that speed, therefore it would be 100 miles per hour. You could say would be the first train. Or in this case, actually be more specific, we can actually say the northbound train, and the southbound train. Please do not forget units when you're dealing with real-world connections. And that concludes working through word problems to be able to solve equations.